Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, faithful? So glad to be here breaking down these scouting report episodes that we do in predictions and bets of the week. They're my favorite episode. Every single week they are, just because of the amount of research that we put into this. Shout out to Coach Cruz. He is the driving force behind these episodes this year, and he's just crushing it, just unearthing all this wonderful information that we get to use to enjoy our game on Sunday better. Now, we're going to be going through what the Panthers do that's good. It's hard to find a lot of those. What they do that's bad, where their ranks are, injury reports, predictions, all kinds of things. So buckle in. This is, again, this episode is a lot of fun. We're not recording this live. I'm on a plane right now. So I recorded this bright and early before I headed to the airport. But I wanted to make sure we got this out early this week because I think it's important. The 49ers are 2-2. So is the rest of the NFC West. Now, currently, the 49ers are in first place because of the divisional record. They're 2-0. They took care of business versus the Seahawks. They took care of business versus the Rams on Monday Night Football. This is the area that the 49ers have been found wanting. These games that they should win against lesser opponents on the road. Chicago Bears, Denver Broncos. These are the types of games, not so much that define your season, but they're the type of games that get your win-loss record where it should be if you want to be a playoff team. And make no mistake, the 49ers not only want to be a playoff team, they are going to be a playoff team. So while this game, again, the spread, Vegas, I mean, they're almost a full touchdown favorite on the road, which is very rare. This game matters. And it matters to a lot of players on the 49ers organization because of some ties, some connections. We'll jump into that. Now, let's focus on the Panthers. They're struggling. Make no qualms about it. Front office, head coach, quarterback, offensive line. It is just bad, 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 bad. They started 0-2. They lost to the Browns. Then they lost to the Giants. Got their first win versus the Saints, which was a good win. A lot of injuries for the Saints. But it's different. They have not played anybody like the 49ers. The 49ers defense is unreal. There's no doubt about it. Since week 1, they have only given up 18 points and 1 touchdown in 3 games. Is the Carolina Panthers offense going to be striking fear into this defense? I do not believe so. Yes, CMC is incredible. We'll talk more about that. But let's hope that just like last year in 2021, a blowout victory against the Rams on primetime football vaulted the 49ers last year. They went on and won 3 straight after that, won 5 of their next 6. And that kind of changed the season. Remember, they were 3-5 before that win last year against the Rams. This year, they were 1-2. So they didn't dig as deep a hole as they did in the previous year. And hopefully they can spring out of that. They're already in first place. And if we just look again, comparing 2021 to 2022, the NFC record after week 4 in 2021 was 11-5, the combined of the 4 teams in the division. This year, yeah, every team's 2-2. It's pretty simple to figure out. They're 8-8. So while you got 2 things working for you, number one, you're not in near as big a hole as you were last year at 3-5, right? You're not there. 2, your competition is not near as good. 11-5 last year record, 8-8 this year. We were in 3rd place. Now we're in 1st. You see the difference there. And so again, that Monday night game was huge. Can they use this as a launching point to prove to themselves? I think the defense has proven to the world they're for real. They're the best in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. Can the offense just be average? That's all you're asking for. You're not asking for anything special. You're not asking for top 10. Can they just be average? Which is insane to say when you have guys like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. I mean, there's so much talent over there. Can they just be average? Not asking for much from number 10. Very similar game to last week. You're going to win a lot of games. Just don't turn the ball over. Now, The Panthers, as we said, they are 1-3 on the year. They lost to the Browns by 2, close game. They lost by the Giants by 3, close games. Beat the Saints by 8, and then lost to the Cardinals, who are struggling, by 10. We bet that game pretty big. We got paid out pretty big on that one too. But if you look at what they've been able to accomplish, it's not much. They're tied for 20th out of 32 teams for points allowed. They're giving up 21.3 points per game against some very, very, very bad offenses. Giants, bad offense. Browns, bad offense. Cardinals, bad offense. Saints, bad offense. They played the Saints when they were injured. That's where all the injuries started happening. And 17th in points scored. They're only scoring 19.5 points per game. No way in the world they're going to put up 19 unless they get some pick sixes or special teams touchdowns. I think it's the only way they can get there. Now, if we look at it just from a snap by snap kind of analytical perspective from Pro Football Focus, these are their ranks. Panthers offense, 24th out of 32. Overall is 24th out of 32. Offense, 30th. They're a bottom 3 offense. Defense, 16th. Pretty good defense. They got some pretty damn good players over there. Brian Burns might be a top 10 pass rusher. Not might be. He's a top 10 pass rusher in the NFL. Might even be higher, top 6. He's been playing that well. Special teams, 6. So it's not like they're just bad across the board. And to put this into perspective, the 49ers overall tied 3rd. Offense tied 28th. So even as bad as the 49ers offense has been, which has been trash, they're better than the Panthers offense. Still, even at that point. Defense first, special teams 20th. Those Ray McLeod back-to-back fumbles, the block field goal for return for a touchdown. Even though the special teams has been so much better, it's crazy to say that 20th overall is an improvement, but it's a stark improvement. It's a big improvement over Richard Hightower in the previous 5 years in the Shanahan regime. So 20th, it sounds bad because it's below average. Oh boy. If you would have told me we'd have the 20th special teams unit 4 weeks in, I'd sign me up, baby. I'm totally down. Now, head coach Matt Rhule for the Carolina Panthers is interesting. To say he's on the hot seat that's an understatement. He probably going to be the first coach fired. And, he came over from Baylor. He's a good college coach that builds a good, whatever culture. That's what they always say, right? He's 11-26 in his 3rd season. Has completely mismanaged this roster. It's been very, very bad. Getting Teddy Bridgewater, who's the best quarterback they've had during this time, and then they sold him for pennies on the dollar and took all of the salary cap hit to get worse at quarterback with Sam Darnold. Then they did the same thing this year with Baker Mayfield. To think that they could have had Jimmy Garoppolo. They totally screwed the pooch on this one. And when they fired Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator, a year ago, it just set the clock ticking. This is going to be Matt Rhule's last year. I did put some money down in the offseason on him being the first coach fired. I'm telling you, man, the crows, the vultures, they are circling, and it is only a matter of time. Now, if you want a full all 22 breakdown, we have that up on our Patreon channel, which is by far the best way to support the show. Just go to patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. We are putting up a full scouting report breakdown with 49ers Cutback, showing the offense, defense, special teams, everything you need to know about this Panthers team. So if you want to dive into the coaching tape and see what they are, that's available on Patreon. Steve Young tearing up. If you're just wanting to watch all of the 49ers plays, every offensive play, defensive play, special teams play from the season broken down, that's going to be on Frank Gore tearing up. So go check out over there. Once you sign up, everything is available to you. I think we have over 300 videos, several hundred hours of content, more than you could ever hope to devour. But that's there for you. And if you don't like it, please just let me know. 100% money back guaranteed, no questions asked. So that's available for you there. Now, injuries. They are significant in the NFL for almost every single team. And the 49ers much more so than the Panthers. Colton McKivitz, our backup left tackle's out. Trent Williams, our starting best left tackle in the entire NFL, he's out. Juwan Jennings, he's day-to-day with an ankle injury, which does hurt, I'm going to be honest, but I think that he's going to be able to go. Tarvarius Moore, he's still questionable. Javon Kinlaw, questionable with the knee. I personally would not play Javon. I would not play Javon right now. Let him rest. This is not a game that the Panthers are going to dominate on the inside. It's just not who they are. Not concerned about him. Danny Gray, questionable with his hip. Croft, questionable. TDP, he's out. Eric Armstead, questionable. We're going to have to see what happens with him and his foot flare-up. Again, I'd rest him. This is not a game that's going to be one up the middle. It's just not. You've got to have those guys for the long stretch. Personally, I'd probably rest them for both these away games. I'd just tell them, you know what? Falcons, you're out. Panthers, you're out. We're going to be fine without you. Get better. We need you against the Chiefs. We need you against the Rams. We need you on those times. So that's what I would do. Azeez, he's still out as well. So lot of players out. Azeez got put on the injured reserve last Monday, so he's going to be missing some time. Now, the Panthers, also a lot of injuries. Their cornerback, Stanley Thomas Oliver, questionable. Laviska Shenault, he pulled his right hamstring and against the Cardinals. He's going to be out. Jeremy Chin just got placed on IR, probably their biggest injury. He is a Pro Bowl level, all-pro safety. And that's kind of been the theme of the year. Almost every single team we're playing, our safety and their safeties have been out. Still have Jimmy Ward out, even though he returned to practice this week. I do not believe that he will be coming back this week. It'd be awesome if he did, but I don't think they rush him back. I think they practice him and Jason Verrett, and then bring him back maybe next week against the Falcons, maybe even past that, because it's a 21-day practice window that's open. So they have 3 weeks to practice before they get activated. So maybe I'd stash both of them. But Jeremy Chin's out. That's a big deal because he would have been the guy on Kittle. So that's interesting. Sam Darnold's still on IR. Bravion Roy, their defensive tackle, he's on the injured reserve. Andre Roberts, one of their backup wide receivers. I think his knee issue, the quote is Matt Rhule said, Roberts' knee issue could be an issue. So he's going to be out a while. And then Matt Carroll, their third-round quarterback, who, I'll be honest with you, if Darnold or Carroll were healthy, they would be starting this game. Baker Mayfield has been the worst quarterback in the NFL, and I don't think it's close. Probably him and Justin Fields. And as I say that, I know there's somebody back there saying, well, Justin Fields beat us. He did. There's no doubt about that. So it's still the NFL, and the worst quarterbacks can still get wins. The Panthers can win this game. Yes, they can win this game because of their defense, because Brian Bird's going against our third string left tackle. They can win this game. Will they? That's another thing. You've got to help them a lot for this to be even competitive, to be honest with you. The 49ers should blow this game out. They really, really should. And if we look historically, the Panthers actually have the 49ers number. They are 13-9 against the 49ers, and the Panthers have won 4 out of the last 6. So it's not like this has just been a one-sided matchup, but you don't play very often. Their last matchup was in 2019, and the 49ers just killed them. Killed them so bad they ended up firing their coach, switching quarterbacks. That was the 51-13 game. It just got bad. It got really, really bad. Kyle Allen, if you remember, they won like 4 out of their last 5. He was the backup that stepped in for Cam Newton after he got hurt. And then everybody's like, oh, Kyle Allen, he's a thing. He goes 0 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Jimmy Garoppolo against him, 18 for 22, 175, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's a Jimmy G stat line I would be happy with. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Oh, man. Yeah, sign me up right now. Tevin Coleman, who's back on the 49ers, had 105 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, also had a receiving touchdown against them for 4 total TDs on the day. And we just killed him. Rushed 38 times, 232 yards, 5 touchdowns. Mostert had a good game. And McCaffrey, he's going to get his. He got his that day, 14 carries, 117 yards, 1 touchdown. Kittle had 6 for 86. Bosa, I don't know if you guys remember, that was Bosa's best game still to this day. 3 sacks and the interception. Remember, he jumped up and picked off that screen pass. That was awesome and almost returned it for a touchdown. So the last time these two teams played, it's a whole new coaching staff and team over there in Carolina. That was kind of the welcoming party in 2019 because the Panthers were seen as a good team that year until they played the 49ers, and they just kind of broke their back. Panthers never recovered. 49ers went on to the Super Bowl, didn't win it, but it was a good year. Now, the Panthers have some new additions on offense and defense. Bottom tier roster. They picked Ikem Nkwonu from NC State, the very first offensive tackle picked, which was a good pick. And we'll talk a little bit about him. He has not had a good year. His film basically said could be the best run blocking tackle in the NFL by year 1 or 2. Struggles in pass pro. He's got to learn there. He has not learned there yet. He's going to learn this week. Nick Bosa going to teach him some things. Matt Carroll in the third, he would be starting, but he's injured. He's done for the year. So they traded for Baker Mayfield, terrible trade. They got Xavier Woods, safety from Minnesota. That was a good pickup. He's pretty good. Damian Wilson from Jacksonville, linebacker. Matt Ioannidis from the Commanders, defensive tackle. Like, they've got some good players this offseason. Just wasn't enough. Johnny Hecker, the punter from the Rams, they got. Austin Corbett from the Rams, they got. So they've got a decent team on paper sometimes, has not filled in, really hasn't. Now, let's pick apart their defense. Let's start with their strength. By far the best part of this Carolina Panthers team. By far. Not good. It's not good. Fourth in red zone percentage. That's great. 49ers struggle there big time. They've allowed 6 touchdowns on opposing teams, 16 possessions. So 6 for 16, that's pretty good. 49ers need some touchdowns. Fourth in rushing touchdowns allowed. Only allowed 1. Again, their strength goes against the 49ers' strength. They forced 4 turnovers in the first 4 games, but they're -2 in the turnover category. They've got to be +2 turnovers to win this game. Have to be. 12th in passing yards allowed, 18th in total yards allowed, 9th in yards per pass. So efficiency's been there. Just teams can't sustain it against them. 17th in third downs, 12th in yards per rush, 4.1. That's huge. And 12th in total defensive DVOA, which is my favorite category. So the giant snapshot of what this Panthers defense is, which is the strength of their team, 12th best out of 32 teams. That's good. They're above average defense. 49ers, number 1, baby. So, like, even if you look at the strength of the Panthers versus the strength of the 49ers, they are found wanting. It is not near strong enough to match up. They're going to have turnovers in explosive plays, which they have not had, to make this a game. Now, their strengths, Brian Burns is a stud. Can't mention that dude enough. Love him. He's a hell of a player. I was a little wrong on my draft write-up on him. I had him as a middle first-round pick. He should have went probably 3rd in the draft. It should have went, Nick Bosa, Kyler Murray, however you want to do that. Then it should have been Brian Burns. That's how good he is. He should have been 3rd. Not Quinnen Williams, who a lot of 49ers fans wanted. Go back to that one. But even if you look at a per-snap basis, Pro Football Focus has him as a 70.8 grade, which is the 43rd edge player out there. But we know his impact has been huge. J.C. Horn, who I loved out of South Carolina, he's been great through the first 4 games. 7th best grade among all cornerbacks. So he's good. He's going to be on Ayuk mostly. They've got good corners. There's no doubt about it. Luvu and Thompson have played really well, grading out 13th and 17th among linebackers. And Dwayne Brown. You remember Dwayne Brown went before Javon Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw went next. 2 defensive tackles went in the first round that year. Brown's been better. The 49ers didn't have a chance to get him. He's been 13th best defensive tackle in the NFL from Pro Football Focus. Weaknesses, oh, man. Yatir Gross-Matos, who I liked out of Penn State, 10th, bottom 10 in edge rushers. He's got a 45.3 grade. Dante Johnson, he's in the bottom third of all corners. They're just a mess, man. So you watch out for some of these players. J.C. Horn, Brian Burns, those are the 2 big ones. But there's so many players to exploit. And really, you don't have to scheme away from players. You don't have to scheme away from Brian Burns. You don't. You chip a little bit, put a tight end on that side, have the running back over there and pass pro. That's really about it. You don't have to throw away from J.C. Horn. You just kind of get to do your thing. Really not a lot of blue chip players on their team. They do have some good players. I'm not trying to say that, but it's not like the Rams and Ramsey and Donald and Bobby Wagner. No. That doesn't happen on this team. Now, before we jump to the offense, I hope you guys are going to come out and join us. If you're anywhere close to Charlotte, come out and party with us. 49ers Rush Roadtrip.com. Saturday, we're going to be at Graham Street Pub and Patio. And then Sunday, we're going to be tailgating right next to the stadium at Town Brewing Company. We'll walk to the stadium together. 49ers Rush Road Trip, unlimited beers and food, party with the faithful. And if you haven't been out to one of our parties, trust me, you're going to want to check it out. Next week, we'll be in Atlanta. We got those details up. We're doing every single road trip from the year. Like, I'm just staying out there. So I'm flying out to Charlotte. I've got some family in Atlanta. I'm going to go down and see them, but I'm just staying out there. I'm doing basically what the 49ers do. I didn't want to fly back and forth. It's a little too much. So just kind of taking advantage of my time out there. On the East Coast. So come join us. Any road game or the Miami Dolphins home game December 4th. We're going to be throwing parties for that as well. Now the offense. Oh, boy, best for last. They're so bad. They're so bad. 11th in interceptions thrown. So they've thrown 3, plus Baker's fumbled 5 times. Turnover machine just waiting to happen. What's crazy is not a lot of sacks against him. Every time he gets sacks, he fumbles the ball. 21st in passing touchdowns, only 3. So they've thrown 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions with 5 fumbles. 32nd in third down conversion. That's the stat of the day right there. You're going against a team that forced the most 3 and outs of anybody in the NFL. In the offense, the Panthers offense, they're 12 for 47, 25%. 1 for 4 is their average, and they haven't played good defenses. It could be really, really bad. Red zone, they're 28th. They've scored 4 touchdowns out on 9 possessions in the red zone. Not good there. 32nd, dead last in total yards. They're averaging 262 a game. It just doesn't look good. 30th in pass yards, 17th in points, 24th in rush yards, and 31st in offensive DVOA. It's just not good. It's just not good. It's as bad as they get. It is the worst offense in the entire NFL, and they're starting to fight against each other nonstop. 32nd in total first downs. They're only getting 14 a game. That's their average. It could be a bloodbath, guys. Now, the strengths. There are strengths. CMC, unbelievable. Christian McCaffrey hasn't been practicing this week. He's always a little banged up, but that's pretty par for the course. He will play. He's going to have to go off. Now, he's at his best whenever he gets the ball in space. Well, what is one of the things that makes the 49ers so different? Tackling in space. Dre Greenlaw is as good as anybody in the NFL. Fred Warner's Fred Warner. And your corners. Diamador Lenore doesn't miss tackles. I mean, it's Christian McCaffrey. It's almost like Cooper Kupp. He's going to get his, whether it's through the running game or through the screen game. I mean, they're throwing fades and seam routes to this guy. He's that good. He's going to get his. But he's got to have an all-world day. I think 175 total yards over that just to have a chance this game. He's going to get close to that century mark in total yards between rushing and catching, just what he does. He's their entire offense. But outside of that, it's DJ Moore and him. Nothing else. There is nothing else. Baker Mayfield's a bad quarterback. And so that's caused some problems between him and DJ Moore and Matt Rhule. And it's not going to stop. Robbie Anderson, good gosh, that dude, he's the one that said before they traded for Baker, God, no, I do not want Baker on this team. Well, sometimes you don't get what you want. You get what you need. Shout out Rolling Stones. Weaknesses, yeah, it's Baker. Lowest rated quarterback in the league. He'll get another shot because he's a first overall pick, but this is it for Baker. It's the last year of his contract. He's going to be basically on the Mitch Trubisky plan where he'll go to a team to compete with a rookie, which he will not win. He might win weeks 1 and 2, like the starting job, but then he'll be phased out. This is the beginning of the end for Baker Mayfield, sadly. It could be wrong. And, usually I want to say like, oh, he's a good guy and I hope good things for him. No, Baker's not a good guy. No, I don't hope good things for him. I hope bad things for him. He's not a good person. He's not a good teammate. Dislike this man, completely. And having said that, like I've followed him since his high school days. I'm a Longhorn, and he's from Austin, so like he was a big time recruit, and played for OU, which doesn't help me like him at all anyway. But just not a good dude. So anyway, the rookie who should be a strength, their left tackle Iquanu, he's been bad, and now he's a mover. He can move in the run game, but whenever it comes to pass sets, good gosh, against Drake Jackson, against Sampson, against Omenihu, against Bosa, he's going to get worked, man. He's going to get worked. His film's been bad. 2 out of 3 of their starting wide receivers rank in the bottom 5%. Shi Smith and Robbie Anderson drops galore. Their starting tight end, Ian Thomas, they expected big things for him. Just hasn't happened. Now, there are a lot of interesting connections between these teams, which I thought was interesting. Shout out to Coach Cruz again for finding these. Terrence Marshall, their second-round wide receiver from a few years ago, has not panned out from LSU at all. Him, Frank Herron, and Steven Sullivan all played with Ty Davis Price at LSU. Ty Davis Price not playing this week. Jalen Moore and Giovanni Ricci, their fullback, they played together at Western Michigan. Shout out to Western Michigan. Money Mitch and Marquise Blair were together at Utah. Their safety. Marquise Blair used to be with the Seahawks. Now he's down there. Nick Bosa and Michael Jordan. No, not that Michael Jordan. Their guard, starting guard, they played together at Ohio State. Aaron Banks, Tommy Trimble, who I do like. That is one player that I really do like at tight end. They were together at Notre Dame. Tommy Trimble is basically Kyle Juszczyk type player that they play at tight end. Kind of does a little bit of everything. I do like him, and I think he has a bright future. They just don't know how to use him. Now, it is time for our bets of the week. And last week, we went 8 for 8. I doubt we're going to do that again. But real quick before we jump into that, quick word from our sponsor. You know football, and you pick winners all the time, so why not get paid for them at MyBookie? Best single game spreads, money lines, parlays, teasers, multiple. You put it all together, increase your payouts however it is you want to go bet. They've got individual game lines, stats, who makes playoffs, who doesn't. Now, what's even better about it, low cost entry fees on over $500,000 to be won. Make it so you don't have to be a pro gambler to have fun. And that's what's awesome. You can bet a little bit. I'm an entertainment guy. I don't put a whole bunch on there, but getting started is easy. You just head to mybookie.ag, use our promo code 49ERS on your first deposit. They're going to double it all the way up, $1 for $1, up to $1,000 on your first deposit. So again, use our promo code 49ERS, double it all the way up to $1,000. MyBookie is a proven sportsbook that makes it simple to bet and win. We've used them for over 5 years now. So make this your winning season exclusively at MyBookie. All right, here are some of our bets of the week. We put every single bet that we do up on Patreon every single week. And because I had to record this early because of my flight, a lot of the player props, none of the player props are up right now on MyBookie. They will be up in the next couple days. So I'll add those to the bets of the week. But the 49ers are 6.5 point favorites despite traveling across 3 time zones from, West Coast to East Coast. The over-under is 39 this week. We have bet the under every single week. This is the lowest under in the NFL this week, and I'm not going to bet it. I still don't think it hits 39, but Vegas keeps squashing that down to where it's almost just like, man, it's just not there anymore. We hit it. We're 4 for 4 on the under this year, but I'm staying away from it just because they keep lowering it too much. If it was 41, I'd do it. And you can bet the alternate underlines on MyBookie if you want to. I would do 41.5. That's where I would go. But anyway, I'm staying away from the under this week. Now, Coach Cruz, shout out to him. I'm not betting the spread, which is 6.5. But what we did do, and this is Coach Cruz bet of the week, under alternative lines, we're taking the 49ers minus 4.5. So I'm taking 2 of those points back. So I'm taking the 49ers minus 4.5 points. So they have to win by 5 or more for us to get paid on that. Bet 10 to win 7. And I've got a 2-team teaser for you. This one I like a lot. It's a 2-team plus 7-point teaser. So each team gets 7 points added on top of the spread. And if both those things happen, we get paid. I'm taking the Vikings over the Bears. which the Vikings are 7-point favorites. The Bears are bad. And it's non-prime time. I almost always bet Kirk Cousins when it's not a primetime game. I go against them when it is primetime. It's going to put my kids through college. I'm just telling you, man. Primetime Kirk Cousins is the worst guy ever. But when those lights aren't on and nobody's watching, he puts up great stats. So because of that, the Vikings were a full 7-point favorite, similar to the 49ers. It's a 0-0 sum game. So Vikings just have to win outright against the Bears, who I think are as bad as they get. Seahawks, I'm taking them again, not because I think they'll win. I think they're going to lose against the Saints, but with +7 on top of the +5.5, the Seahawks would have to lose by 12.5 points to a team without Jameis Winston, to a team without Michael Thomas, to a banged up Alvin Kamara. I do think the Saints will win, but Seahawks 12.5 points. That's a lot of points. And Seahawks are playing everybody close. That's not the 49ers. So Vikings and the Seahawks, they're still going to lose, but we're still going to get paid. Bet 10 to win 7. And that's what that is. And again, we're all the other bets. I don't want to go through all of them on here just because I know it's not a betting show. But if you want those, that's on patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. Now, my predictions and keys to the 49ers game. Panthers are really bad. And the way in which to win games has been established. You protect Jimmy. That's it. That's it. Protect Jimmy, take care of the ball. And if Jimmy's taking care of the ball, everything else is going to take care of itself. Yeah, there's going to be fumbles. Debo fumbles sometimes. Jeff Wilson fumbles sometimes. That's okay. You have to be -2 in the turnover ratio for this to be a game. You could be -2 and win, to be honest with you. Can't be -3 like you were against the Broncos and have a safety and go 1 for 10 on third downs. You can't stack all that bad on bad and beat any team in the NFL. So protect the ball, protect Jimmy. You're going to be just fine. Stay hot when it comes to 3 and outs, which you're the best in the NFL at it. They're the worst offense in the NFL at it. You got to piss Baker off. And here's what's crazy. There's going to be constant pressure on Baker just because of our defense, especially with how much D'Amico's been blitzing. Good gosh. Blitzed 17 times versus the Rams. That's insane. Not that 17 is an insane number, but going against Matt Stafford, that's insane. And it worked. If you can work against them and you can continue to disguise these blitzes, that's part of the reason why you have Diamador Lenore, Talanoa Hufanga, Fred Warner, some of the best blitzers at their positions in the NFL already, despite 2 of them being young. You got to get after Baker. And we know how much Nick Bosa hates that man. I think him and I are in accord there. So you contain CMC. He's going to get his. Keep him under 175 yards. Not asking for much. But I do have Bosa getting a sack. I have the team getting 5 team sacks. They got 7 last week, which was unheard of. I got 5 this week. I'm not sure this is going to be a game after the third quarter. Just really not. And on top of that, Kittle, I have finally having his best game in a while. I got him getting 5 catches, 72+ yards, and a touchdown, which means Jimmy Garoppolo will throw a touchdown pass, which would be nice. I have the 49ers winning and covering, even though I don't like that spread being as big as it is. That's why we took the alternate line. I've got the 49ers winning 23-12. This is the game that a playoff team should win. You got to take care of business against lesser opponents, and make no mistake, this is a lesser opponent. Perhaps the lessest. I want to say lessest. I know least is the right word. This is the worst opponent the 49ers will play for the rest of the year. This is it. Wouldn't be surprised if Baker gets pulled, but they don't have anybody else after this. Heads are going to roll, man. It's going to be bad. 49ers better take care of business. There's no excuses this week. 49ers win, improve to 3-2, and start to kind of put a stranglehold on the NFC West. That's what I want to see. That's what we deserve. Let's go, Niners. Take care of business. You're the better team. Handle your business. If you're out there in Carolina, come hang out with us. Make sure you come by and say what's up. Please, I want to meet you. It's very, very important. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.